Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Cycle 5858. I am Amish Cycle. Foreign news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please, let's go to the headlines.
ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day. Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight, the breaking news on this Friday night, the new ICE arrests drawing outrage at this hour. Tonight, multiple witnesses telling ABC News that federal agents ate lunch at a Mexican restaurant outside Minneapolis and then followed the staff after closing time. This video reportedly showing officers arresting 3 of the workers from the restaurant where they were eating. Tonight, newly released documents also revealing the chaotic moments right after that mother of 3 was shot and killed in her SUV.
Could I go check a pulse?
No! Back up! Now!
What we've now learned about this, and just in tonight, there's news the Justice Department is now investigating Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry. Matt Rivers live in Minneapolis with the breaking developments. Tonight, 24 hours after giving President Trump her Nobel Peace Prize, the president calling the Venezuelan opposition leader a fine woman, but he won't back her as Venezuela's new leader. And tonight, the president doubling down on his effort to take over Greenland. The U.S. allies, Germany, UK, France among them, sending troops now to Greenland to protect them from the U.S. threat. This Friday night, 2 storm systems set to slam the east. Tonight, the Clipper system in the northeast. Then the system that could bring snow all the way down to Florida, Georgia, and then move right up the coast into the northeast. Lee Goldberg standing by with the forecast. Tonight, the alarming new numbers on deaths from the flu, multiple pediatric deaths among them, including a 2-year-old boy from New Jersey who was discharged with a 101 fever. It all comes after the CDC halted recommendations for the flu shot for children and what some doctors are now urging tonight. The other breaking health headline involves Tylenol and pregnancy and what it now shows, this new study. The massive inferno breaking out, the flames shooting into the air, the heat could be felt across the community. From Los Angeles tonight, the dramatic police chase, the stolen box truck, and what police had to do to stop it. Tonight, the collision on the tracks between a train and a robot that was delivering food. This evening, singer John Mellencamp and what he's now revealing about his daughter's battle with cancer at the very difficult turn. And tonight, Dolly Parton and some of her friends right here, you'll know them, Lainey Wilson, Miley Cyrus, Queen Latifah, Reba McEntire, and what they've all done tonight. And it's a special night with Dolly Parton.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Marking a new chapter in Canada-China relations this Friday night. Mark Carney strikes a pivotal deal with the Asian superpower to slash a slew of tariffs.
Canada is forging a new strategic partnership with China.
From electric vehicles to canola, the potential impact on Canada's economy. A federal court revisits Ottawa's convoy protests, the latest ruling calling the use of the Emergencies Act to end demonstrations unjustified. Plus, WestJet reverses course on its new seating plan, the backlash over passengers feeling cramped in the cabin. And returning valor.
It broke my heart because each one of those medals was a story.
The Canadian bringing long-lost military medals back to their rightful hands.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Nitu Garcha.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Prime Minister Mark Carney finished 2 days of meetings in Beijing with a rather unexpected development. New deals that signal a seismic reset in Canada-China relations. China has agreed to cut tariffs on Canadian canola in exchange for the opening of the Canadian market to made-in-China electric vehicles. China also agreed to drop visa requirements for Canadian tourists. Our chief political correspondent, David Aiken, is traveling with the PM and has more on these landmark deals. David?
Well, Prime Minister Mark Carney came to China with one key objective, and that was to reduce punishing tariffs that China had imposed on Canadian canola. And by that measure, Carney largely succeeded.
Mr. Prime Minister.
it took a final one-on-one meeting between the two leaders, Chinese President Xi Jinping acknowledging a new chapter in relations between the two countries.
Prime Minister Carney, welcome to China.
Thank you, President Xi, for your hospitality.
China agreed to drop canola tariff.
All right. We should almost end it now. It's Friday, so you know what that means. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He looks like the world's sexiest dentist. Editor-at-large of Country Highway Magazine, Walter Kerr. A little slow there, everybody. He looks like the guy into a homemade rap CD. Comedian Sherrod Small. We gotta go. He's all about free speech and looks like he's never seen a beach. CEO and co-founder of the Federalist, Sean Davis. And she went from shirtless rocker All right, it's Friday, so before we get to some news stories, let's do this.
Greg's Leftovers.
It's Leftovers, where I read the jokes we didn't use this week, and as always, it's my first thing that stuck. Covered Joe in powdered sugar and a Trump wig, and send him to Rosie O'Donnell's house. Yes, you won't know whether to eat him or him. All right. Unnecessary, really. Unnecessary. Both. I don't know why I said that.
Both.
Do both.
Do both.
Why choose?
White privilege.
All right. In Minneapolis, the city attorney's office invited the staff to a healing circle with therapy goats. Or as Tim Waltz calls it, date night. Yeah. James Comer announced that he plans to hold Hillary Clinton in contempt for skipping the Epstein deposition. Bill Clinton? Oh. All right, you done? Bill Clinton was confused by the action, saying, why would anyone want to hold Hillary Clinton? Yeah. On Ben Shapiro's podcast, Gavin Newsom refused to answer if boys could become girls. He said he has a lot of empathy for transgenders, being that he also used to have testicles. Despite spending millions on Star Trek, Starfleet Academy, the new Paramount show was terribly received. Trekkies were so upset that they threatened to have sex. Get it?
With Joe Mackey?
Yes, with Joe Mackey. Two-time World Cup winner Megan Rapinoe appeared in a TV ad. Oh, control yourselves. She appeared in a TV ad saying men should be able to play women's sports. Sorry, Megan, they already do. It's called soccer. In Minneapolis, 3 illegal aliens are accused of beating an ICE agent with a shovel. On the bright side, it's nice to see an illegal using something besides a leaf blower.
Hello, you're watching Sky News. I'm Nick Croce. Here are the headlines this morning. The chief of police officer retiring with immediate effect after a damning report into his handling of a controversial football concerns that led to fans of an Israeli club being banned. The now former chief constable blames a political and media frenzy. Political media friends over the Israeli team. read that Maccabi Tel Aviv supporters should not attend a match against Aston Villa over safety concerns. It was later revealed some of the evidence had been gathered by AI and was inaccurate. The Home Secretary, who had called for him to quit, said the Chief Constable had done the right thing. Our sports correspondent Rob Harris reports.
Craig Guildford had to apologise twice for misleading evidence by West Midlands Police, but fought on. Now the Chief Constable has left.
You still hold the line that no AI tools were used in the preparation?
Yeah, I've just got to... But only after mounting political pressure to quit over how he justified banning Israelis from a football match in Birmingham.
We don't do that. We don't use the AI.
With exaggerations and inaccuracies in evidence to MPs and in the force's intelligence assessments. So Mr Guildford walked before the Police and Crime Commissioner could fire him.
I'm pleased this outcome has been reached having regard to due process and the law. That has prevented what might otherwise have been a complex procedure that would have caused significant distraction, impact and cost to West Midlands Police and the wider West Midlands.
The escalating scandal was far from calm. A ban that was opposed from the start by the Prime Minister, the government having to declare no confidence in Mr Guildford 3 months later before he decided to go. In a statement he said, "I have come to the conclusion that the political and media frenzy around myself and my position has become detrimental to all the great work undertaken by my officers and staff in serving communities across the West Midlands. I've carefully considered my position and concluded that retirement is in the best interest of the organisation, myself and my family." He's yet to comment on the inspectorate report.
The PM announces changes to his bill to crack down on hate speech and guns after hitting a major roadblock.
We are going out of our way to support propositions that will promote unity.
More heavy rain and damaging winds on the way for New South Wales as severe weather batters parts of the state. The US president threatens to impose tariffs on countries that don't support his plan to take over Greenland. And music lovers descend on Tamworth for the annual Country Music Festival. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Fiona Willan. We begin in Canberra, where Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has just announced changes to the government's hate speech and gun reforms after the plan hit a major hurdle today. Political reporter Romy Stevens joins us now from Parliament House. Romy, what has the Prime Minister had to say about the bill?
Fiona, the Prime Minister has announced that the government will proceed with laws surrounding gun control, hate crimes and migration. However, the government is scrapping aspects of the legislation that refer to racial vilification. So this refers to an aspect of the legislation or the wide-ranging omnibus bill that was proposed, which would make it illegal to incite or promote racial hatred. There were a number of concerns within that aspect of the federal government's legislation that it's put forward in response to the Bondi terror attack, and those concerns coming from experts as well as members of the coalition about the impact that it could have on both religious freedoms as well as freedom of speech. So the government is making this move in order to try and keep the door open when it comes to negotiations with either the Greens or the opposition to pass this omnibus bill through Parliament within 2 days early next week in an emergency sitting of Parliament. And it comes after we heard earlier in the week from the opposition leader Susan Lee that the proposed legislation was unsalvageable, and she signalled that the coalition wouldn't support the bill. And the Greens appeared more likely to provide support. They did say on Thursday that they wouldn't support the bill in its current form without significant amendments, but then earlier today, the Greens came out and said that they wouldn't support any hate speech aspects within the legislation.
is Asia Now.
It's 12 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 in New Delhi, and 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Grecian, and at this hour.
Well, I may put a tariff on countries if they don't go along with Greenland, because we need Greenland for national security, so I may do that.
U.S. President Donald Trump doubling down on his bid to take over the world's largest island, even as America maintains a military base in the Arctic territory. He cites national security concerns posed by China and Russia, concerns both countries reject. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney ends his official state visit to China today after securing a wide-ranging agreement to lower trade barriers. His referencing, quote, a new world order as he navigates ties with the U.S. President Xi Jinping, meantime, hails a bilateral turnaround after years of fraught relations. A landmark oceans agreement, which seeks to protect marine life in international waters beyond national control, comes into effect. China's role is pivotal with its major maritime and fishing power. U.S. President Donald Trump is threatening to impose levies on nations that oppose his plan to annex the world's largest island, even as European troops have been increasing their military presence.
Well, I may put a tariff on countries if they don't go along with Greenland, because we need Greenland for national security, so I may do that. I'll give you a little.
President Trump recounted his warnings to France and Germany when he directed them to comply with the plan to lower drug prices in the U.S. Observers say his tariff threat now raises questions about the fate of recent U.S. trade deals, particularly those struck with the U.K. and the EU. Troops from Germany, France, Norway, UK, and Sweden have arrived in Greenland's capital Nuuk to carry out military exercises dubbed the Arctic Endurance. The White House says
Africa News. The news.
The Uganda's Electoral Commission has said that early provisional results from the presidential election show President Yoweri Museveni leading. The commission chairperson Samuel Mugenyi said over 23,049 valid votes had been tallied by Thursday night as the 81-year-old leader seeks to extend his nearly 4 decades in power.
Yoweri Tuhabulwa Kaguta Museveni in the RM 14,232 votes, representing 61.7% of valid votes cast so far.
The electoral chief further said that the country's presidential election was generally peaceful and that vote counting had concluded in many areas despite the 1-hour extension period for the voting process.
Total number of valid votes for all the candidates so far is 23,049. Invalid votes so far, 796, representing 3.34% of the total votes cast.
The results come a day after voting took place under an internet blackout and amid long delays caused by technical failures as the 81-year-old President Yoweri Museveni seeks to extend his 40 years in power.
Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan has for the first time expressed regret over the internet shutdown imposed during the country's disputed October elections, which were followed by the worst post-election violence in decades. Hassan acknowledged the disruption caused by the government's response, which included a 6-day internet blackout.
We acknowledge the challenges of the unrest and violence on the election day and shortly thereafter. Our response was essential to maintain constitutional order and ensure safety of all citizens and diplomatic community.
Violence erupted after Hassan won the vote with more than 97%, as major opposition candidates were barred and the main opposition leader remained jailed on treason charges. The president also announced clemency measures.
By 2 pardoned 1,787 convicts associated with the unrest and violence of 29th October last year.
Foreign observers say the election fails to meet democratic standards, while a commission of inquiry is now investigating the violence. In Southeastern Democratic Republic of Congo, the race for strategic minerals is tightening its grip on community forests, leaving local residents fearful of their land, livelihoods, and environment. In Lukutwe, a village in Haut-Katanga province, community members say mining expansion is increasingly encroaching on protected forests.
Thank you for watching Amish Shakil 5858. I am Amish Shakil. I hope you will visit again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.